In this lecture, you are going to learn about the quick selection tool and the magic wand tool in Photoshop. Coming up. Hi everyone, this is Harshvardhan and welcome to another superb episode. In today's lecture, we are going to learn about two most important tools which are part of the selection tools, various selection tools in Photoshop. So quick selection tool is the most widely used selection tool in Photoshop, and that comes at the second because most people prefer to use the pen tool for making a selection, but quick selection helps you to make the selection very quickly and it saves you lots more time. Magic wand tool is basically used for making a quick selection. For example, if you are selecting a sky, then magic wand tool would really help you out. Or if you have a background which has a similar color or almost similar color, then the magic wand tool helps you to make the selection of the background very easily. And there is one more new option which has recently been added by the Adobe Photoshop CC 2018, and that is the select subject option, which makes your life very easy. So what it does, it is basically an artificial intelligence selection of the subject. It works similar to the focus selection option in Photoshop, using which you can make the selection of the subject which is in focus very easily. But this artificial intelligence selection which has recently been added, that also helps you to make the selection of the subject, though it doesn't work that perfect, but yes, it gives you a starting point from where you can modify and refine your selection. Thereafter we will go deep into the refine as selection as well. But if you want to learn all about the refine as, then check out my lectures on the pen tool. And before we go any further, if you are serious about taking your photography and photo editing to the next level, make sure you subscribe to this channel, and to subscribe just click the big red button below this video and don't forget to click the bell icon as well. That way you will not miss any video from this channel. Having said that, let's get started.
So the first tool, which is over here, you can see right now, this is the quick selection tool. So you can have the access to this by coming over here and clicking this icon, or you can simply press W on your keyboard, and that way you will be able to access this tool. And if you press and hold your mouse, it is going to show you one more tool, which is the magic wand tool. So both can be accessed by pressing W. So once you will press the W, it is going to select the quick selection tool, and if you press shift and then again press the W, it's going to switch to the magic wand tool, and you keep on pressing W by pressing shift, then it's going to keep on flipping both the tools. All right, so this is the quick selection tool. Is basically it is used to make a quick selection. All right, so let me show you. So if I want to make a quick selection around this, so I just have to paint around the pixels and it's going to make a quick selection for me. I can make the size of this brush larger by pressing the left bracket or the right bracket to make the size smaller. So it works same as the brush tool and other tools. Okay. So this is how we can make the quick selection, and then we have some option on the top. Let's see what are those options. So if we click over here, as you can see here, we can create some presets. So if we want to, so we can make some changes and those would be available over here. Okay, so if we modify this tool according to our own liking, then we can do that with the help of this one, but it's of no use at the moment because it is not normally used in that way. Okay, so the first option over here is of new selection. You can see this is the sign of the new selection. So by default it must have been selected. If it is not, if you have by default you have selected this, just switch to this one. Okay, So using this we can make a new selection. As you can see, we have made this selection using this tool or the new selection option, and then we have the option of add to selection. So if you press this, and if you want to add to this selection, so suppose, let me show you, if I want to add more of these, then I can just paint and it's going to add to this existing selection. And the second option which is over here, in that is the subtract from the selection. So you can see this plus sign is going to add to the selection, and there is a minus sign or the subtraction sign. So you can select it and it's going to now take away that selection wherever we are going to paint. So suppose if I paint over here, you can see now this part of the image has been removed from the selection. Okay, so these are some 3 options. One is for the new selection, second is for add to selection, and the third one is to subtract from the selection. So suppose if we make some selection and later on we decide that we don't want this part or certain part of the image into the selection, or suppose, as you can see over here, we have spilled out the selection which is out of the main image or main subject, then what we can do, we can use this subtract from selection option and we can paint over here, and you can see now this area has been subtracted. So we can, this is how we can refine our selection easily using these 3 options. Okay, and from here as well, if I paint over here, you will see it is going to subtract. And make sure when you use the quick selection tool, you have the enough memory available in your system, because it takes lots of time. It's a very heavy process. And let me zoom in. Suppose now I want to add this to over here, then I need to make a add to selection or choose add to selection. So there is a simple shortcut button rather than going always on the top and coming down. So if you just press select this by default and press shift, it is going to add to the selection. You can see if I press the shift, it is going to select this option, and if I press the alt or option, you can see now this selection is active or this mode is active. So now let me go down over here, and if I now press shift and paint over here, it is going to add to that selection. Let me zoom in to show you. Okay, and now if I want to remove it, you can see I have selected this option, new selection option, and now if I press alt, you can see immediately it switches back to the subtract to selection, and then I can paint anywhere. So this is the fastest way to work on your image. So you can switch back very easily by pressing shift. You can add to the selection, and by pressing alt or option, if you are using Mac, you can subtract from the selection. And then now let's see what other options we have. So here we can choose the size and the hardness of the brush, and we can choose the spacing, and if you have the pen tablet, you can choose the pen pressure. You can see over here from this drop down menu we can choose the pen pressure, and there are other options as well, though these options are never used mostly, so just leave it as it is. And then we have the option of sample all layers. So what does it mean? So suppose if you have one more layer over here, so as you can see at the moment I am working only on the background layer, and let me just press Ctrl D to remove this selection or deselect everything. And now suppose if I have one more layer and or few more layers, suppose I have this layer now. Okay, so I have now, you can see I have 3 layers. One is a background and one is blank layer and one is this curves. So suppose I am now on the layer 1, and let me just uncheck this sample all layers. And now if I want to make a selection around this subject, so I want to make a selection around this, so I will press W and paint. You can see the moment I paint, it shows me the selection, but the moment I release my mouse, it just takes away that selection. Reason being, there is no pixel on this blank layer. So this is totally blank. It doesn't have any pixels to work on or to make the selection of. But if you check this one, sample all layers, in that case it is going to sample all the layers and then it is going to make the selection. So now if I make the selection, you can see now the selection is active. It has quickly made the selection of this area. But if I uncheck this, it is not going to do anything. You can see. So that's why sample all layers is important, because you never know on which layer you are working and which may cause problem. And then we have the option of auto enhance, which is over here. You can see. Now the second option is auto enhance. So it can, if you paint something like this, then it would try to automatically adjust the selection and make it perfect. As you can see, the moment I have painted, it has tried to its best and made a perfect selection, somewhat perfect selection, but still we have some problem. So this tool is useful this way, but sometimes it doesn't work. As you can see over here, it has left this space and it has not made the selection of this one. So reason being is that there is a problem between the color contrast. So if you have the proper color contrast in your image, then it is going to make the good selection, and if it is not, it is not going to make the selection. Okay, so because if there is, as you can see, there is a very little contrast between the background and the subject. So in this case, it's very hard for the Photoshop to calculate what is or the difference between background and the subject. So that's why it doesn't work. So that is why we use the pen tool to make the selection, so that the Photoshop doesn't have to apply its mind to make the selection or differentiate between the background and the subject. But yes, quick selection is quick selection. We can make the selection very quick. And if you are using the pen tool, then in pen tool we have to just make all the points and make all the selection, and that takes lots of time. All right, so if you want, you can keep this option on or off. Okay, so then we have the option of select subject. This is the new option which is available only in the latest version of Adobe Photoshop CC 2018, because this is a new intelligent selection option which has just been added. And what it does, it is going to make a selection of the subject. So the Photoshop engines would try to calculate what is the main subject or what is in the focus, and then it's going to make a selection of that area. So let's see if I press this on select the subject, and as you can see, it shows me this error, could not complete your request because of a program error. Okay, so let's try once again. If I press this again it shows me the same problem. Reason being that we are on this blank layer at this time. We have selected this blank layer. So we have to switch back to the background layer, because this sample all layers doesn't work with the select subject, because Photoshop just calculates the layer on which we have just selected. All right, so now I have made the have selected this background or made the selection of background layer. And now if I go back and on the top and press this select subject, now you can see it has started working, and it is a little heavy process, so it may take little time, and you can see it has made the selection. Though the selection is not perfect, but yes, rather than doing it manually with the quick selection, just go for this select subject, and sometimes it works very well. And now we just need to refine little bit these edges by pressing Alt, and we can paint over here and press again to paint it back, and by pressing Alt we can subtract it from here, and this is how we can easily make the selection and refine the selection. So select subject is very important, and this is very a lifesaver, and I mostly use this one. And thereafter we have one more option, and that is the select and mask. You can see over here select and mask. So what it basically does, it is now if we press this one, and it is going to open this refine as option. So we have a whole bunch of options. Let me give you a quick tour of this. If you want to learn this in depth, I think you should check out the pen tool lectures on the pen tool. So where I have explained refine as option, each and everything very in detail. So I'm not going to go into that, but I'm just going to show you a quick option. So here on this side we have first this plus icon, that means it's expand the selection area. Minus is extracts the original edges. Then we have the brush tool. We have again the option of sample all layers, and here we have the option of quick selection, again W if you press, so we can make a new selection. And this is very important tool, this is the refine as brush tool. So this is how we can refine our selection. So this is very important tool. And then we have the option of brush tool. So if we want to paint in more of the selection, so we can use this option. And let's say if I paint over here, it may add more of this selection. And then we have the lasso tool. So this is again in the latest version of the Photoshop, and we can press L, and we have the polygon lasso tool as well. Then we have the hand tool so that we can move around the subject, and then we have the zoom tool, so we can zoom in and zoom out of the image easily with the help of this one. And over here first we have the view mode, so we can view it. Number one is on the onion skin, so that is how it is going to show us the transparent pixels. So it is going to give us a preview of how it is going to look on the transparent pixels. Then we have the option of marching ants. In this it is going to show us this selection mode, and if we select the overlay, then it is going to show this or show us the selection of subject which we have just made on this red background. And if we select it on black, again it is going to show us on the black, and at the moment it's not visible clearly. So reason being that this opacity is around 50%, so we need to increase it up to 100%. And now you can see the perfect black background. And if I go for the overlay, perfect red, and if I go for the on black and then on white, and then we have the black and white mask. So if you want to see how your mask is or what kind of a mask is created, so this is how you can easily check this out, that there is a problem on this side and the edges are very sharp, so this might cause problems. So you can refine all of this. Then we have the option of on layers. So suppose if you have some other layers under it, then it is going to show us those layers as well. And at the moment there is no layer under it, so it's not going to show anything, and it's just going to show us the transparent layer. And then we have the option of over here, let me go to the default on white. I mostly work on this option on white, that way I can perfectly see how my image is going to look or how my cutout is going to look. And here we have the option of show original. So it is going to show us the original. As you can see, we have not modified it from anywhere. So let me just show you. If I select this refine as and paint over here, again this is a heavy option, heavy process. It takes lots of time and load on your PC. So you can see I have to just paint and it's going to refine the selection. And now if I press this show edges, it is going to show us only the edges of those which we have selected. And if I press this show original, then it is going to show us the original. You can see, just notice over here, now these are visible because these were the original. And if I just uncheck this, see, now those are gone because we have made these changes, or we have refined these edges. So now it is going to show us that. And then we can check this high quality preview, so that way it is going to show us the high quality preview, but that would take lots of load, so don't go for that. Leave everything as it is. And then we have the option of edge detection. So this is a smart radius option. So if you check this one, the Photoshop is going to automatically detect the edges, and we can increase the radius. This is especially helpful for making the selection of hairs. So complex hair selection can be helpful or can be made with the help of edge detection or the smart radius option. So we can increase or decrease it. All right. And then we have the option of smoothness. So we can make the edges smoother. So if you want these edges to be not that sharp, you can increase the smoothing. You can increase the feather as well. Feather is going to create some feathering between the background and the subject. And then we have the option of contrast. So we can increase the contrast. Just check over here. You can see the moment we have increased the contrast, it has made the edges little sharper. So it is going to add more contrast to the edges. And then we have the option of shift edges. So we can shift these edges of the original selection. So if we want to shift it to the minus side, you can see it is going to shift these edges inside. And at the moment it might not be visible. Let me bring it down. Because it's heavy selection or heavy process, so it takes little bit time. You can see over here, now these are inside, these edges are inside. So if I take it to the right side, it is going to expand these edges. You can see these edges have been expanded. And if I drag it back to the minus 100%, let's see what happens. You can see now these edges or the selection is contracted. So you can play with these settings to make the perfect selection. Okay. And then we have the option of clear selection and invert as well. So if you want to just clear this selection, let me show you. If I press clear selection, it is going to clear everything. Let me press Ctrl Z to undo this. And if I select the invert, it is going to invert the selection. Now the background is selected and subject is not selected. And then we have, let me re-invert it. Okay. And then we have the option of output settings. So we can decontaminate colors. We can check this one, and what it is going to do, it is going to refine these different colors which is on the edges. So if I zoom in, you can however zoom by pressing Ctrl and space, and with your mouse you can zoom in and zoom out by pressing your mouse and dragging it back. So this is how you can quickly zoom in and zoom out. So basically the decontaminate colors is basically refine these edges. So suppose there is some color spilled on this side of the edges, then it's going to fix that. So let me uncheck this and let's see if it makes any difference. Okay, So just notice over here, I think it is helping this out. If I check this one, you can see now the as has become little more contrasty. So you can play with this and it works differently on each image. And then we have the final option of output tool. This option allows us to select how we want our selection to be. So whether we want it to be a selection. So if we make the selection, it is going to make a selection of the refined as selection. And if we select the layer mask, so it is going to create a layer mask for us. If you select the new layer, it is going to create a new layer based on this one. In that case, we will not be having any mask. And if I select new layer with layer mask, so in that case it is going to create a new layer and plus the mask. So we can later on fix these kind of issues with the help of this one. So I always recommend that you go for this option, and I always go with this selection or this option by default. And then there is an option of new document. So if you want to make a new document or new document with the help of this selection, so a new document would be created with this layer. Okay, and then we have the option of new document with layer mask. So a new document would be created with this layer plus the layer mask. So these are all of other options, but I normally go for the new layer with layer mask. And then we have the option of remember setting. So whatever settings or we have changes we have made, it is going to remember all of these. But if you just uncheck this, it is going to make all the settings default when you are going to relaunch it in the future. So always check this remember settings unless you want it. And then we have the one more option of reset the workspace. So now if we press this reset, it is going to reset everything. So everything is now on the default option. Okay, so you can do that as well. And thereafter, once you are happy, press OK, or you can cancel it. So let me press OK. And let's see, you can see since we have selected a new layer with layer mask, so now a new layer has been created of this background copy and a mask is over here. So if you want to see how your mask looks, so you need to press shift and select on this mask. So this is how you can disable the mask or enable the mask. And if you press alt and click on this mask, it is going to show us the black and white mask which is created. And again, if you press alt or option and click on this layer mask, it is going to show us or reveal the layer. Okay, and if you press control and click on any of these on this mask, it is going to make a quick selection of that mask. And if you press control D, you can deselect it. So these were the options in the quick selection tool, which is over here. And now let's learn about the second tool, which is the magic wand tool. And the next option is the magic wand tool. You can come over here and select this, or you can simply press shift and press W. So magic wand tool, again we have the same option, almost same options. The only difference is that we have this time this is a new selection, this is add to selection, this is subtract from this selection. If you have just gone through this marquee tool or rectangular marquee tool, then I have explained all of these options in that. Those are same. So we can add to selection, we can subtract from the selection, or we can intersect with the selection. And then we have the option of point sample, or we can choose these different options as well, but by default it works just fine. And we can increase the tolerance, or we can decrease it with the help of the sliders. Okay, so we can experiment with these. Suppose this is not working, you can play with this tolerance settings and then you can experiment and get the proper result, but I always get the good result with the normal settings or the default settings. And then we have the all these options selected: anti-alias and contiguous, and we can again here select the sample all layers option if we want to. So let's check this one, and again we have both these two new options. These have been added in the latest version of the Photoshop CC 2018. Select subject and select and mask. Earlier these were not there. All right, and now how this tool works, I just need to paint over the area of which we want to make a selection, and you can see it has made the quick selection of that. So it is basically works based on the colors. So if I select this color, you can see it is going to make a selection of this, and if I select or press on the green, it is going to make a quick selection of the green. This is especially helpful when you have like white background, so you can quickly make the selection. And if you want to add these as well to the selection, just press the shift and paint over here, and over here click on this, click on this, click on this, and you can see it just works just like that. So it is very fast and it makes the selection very easy and fast. So this is how, or that is why it is called the magic wand tool, because it makes the selection very fast, but it sometimes doesn't give you good result if you don't have the white background or the black background, or if you have different colors in your background, then it's very difficult for you to make the selection. Okay, so this is helpful when you have to make a quick selection and you have the white background or the black background. All right, and then you can just select the subject or select and mask, suppose this one, and we can invert this selection from here and press OK, and you can see now selection has been quickly made. So if you want, you can experiment with this once again and refine your selection. So that was the quick selection and the magic wand tool in Photoshop. I hope you have understood each and everything, but if you still got any question, do let me know in the comment section or in the question answer section.
So thank you so much. I hope you have enjoyed today's episode. If you did, hit the like button. If you have any question or if you want to say something, leave that in the comment section or in the question answer section. I have only request to you is that please hit the like button, leave something in the comments, and please consider sharing this video, because your likes, your comments, your sharing motivates me to make more and more videos for you. So thank you so much. Bye bye. See you in the next episode. Till then, keep shooting and unleash the creative in you. Bye bye.